If you don't have any juice.
Hello, Buzz Stewart. Okay, what's up? I mean, there's something interesting.
Henry, då viste ceremony? Wat dan een dues mee?
Massa.
Wat wist voor drek is veel?
Okay.
Wat doe je op de duel?
Massa. And now I'm just doing some cool stuff for my game. I'm making a game for a jam, and I'm just making some pixel art. It's really new for me because I never made isometric things and pixel art things, but it's kinda cool, but it takes a lot of time to make stupid things. I mean, everything takes time, but this one is just, yeah. The mirror jam. This is like the game looks at the moment. Yeah, but I don't have a really a great idea to make it work because it's just 2D, and to make good mechanics you should just lose at least one month, in my opinion. And I think I'm just going to work another 2 days on this game, and I'm going to put it in the, what it's called, on the jam. Yeah. No, I think this one is better than the other one, and this one here. This just looks not that good. How did you find me? I mean, are you from the? Yeah, I think you're this one. Yeah. No, it's not so much. Uh, I, I just was watching this video about music. Oh, my friends. I mean, probably it's good to let music down. Yeah, it's not going to annoy me. How's the weather? Where are you from? Here it's just too hot. I'm just sweating, and there are a lot of mosquitoes. It's kind of annoying.
Somebody told me, let's stop that for now. Somebody told me that was like it was so offensive of a song because they're implying that there's a lot of Jews on Broadway, which is technically true if you've ever been to Broadway. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to put that on. Some people in the chat are expressing their lack of interest in that particular musical, but yes, if you're not familiar, that's Spamalot. It is the musical version of Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail, which is, of course, one of the greatest movies ever made. And it's super funny. Super funny, lots of fourth wall breaking and crazy, inappropriate jokes that you probably couldn't get away with in the modern day. But nonetheless, they do it. And it's a great time. I really enjoy it. With all that said, hello, welcome to the show. Sorry we're getting started up a little bit later if you're watching this recorded after.
See ya on the Discord channel. Bye.
Basically, I've been getting ready to upgrade my PC. I kind of saw this coming. I thought that maybe it would last for 3 years or something, but I am incredibly hard on all computer or tech hardware, like insanely hard on it. And because I recently videos, I play lots of games. It's like a nightmare for any sort of computer build. And so I went through its paces, all my hard drives, all of that, it's all video, it's all like very, very large files and naturally. It has trouble keeping up with my fast-paced, high-energy lifestyle, and it's just now starting to go on its last legs, I think. It's on its last legs. It's slowly collapsing. It's right here next to me. But he's put up a good fight. He's put up a good fight. But for my workload right now, it's just not keeping up. The computer crashed. It's weird. Photoshop. I was trying to throw together a quick thumbnail for this video, and for some reason, Photoshop, this guy just keeps crashing. If you follow me on Twitter or on Discord, then you'll know that last night I had this issue where I found out my RAM, which is 1866 megahertz. You know, it's 16 gigs of 1866, and so it should be running really quickly, and there's a good chunk of it, so it shouldn't have any problem with Premiere's typical workload. Because I was working on this big video last night, which just got posted to the channel. If you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend that you do. But yeah, no, the computer kept crashing because it was running out of memory, and then I looked at it and I found out that the memory was running at 895 megahertz instead of 1,866. Like, way below what it's supposed to. So my computer was chugging, trying to keep up. I had to go into the BIOS for all sorts of issues. It's just been a hassle, and I think it's time to upgrade, which is why we're going to talk about hardware today, in addition to our other topics, because I'm getting ready to upgrade, and I'm going to look forward to that. Who knows? Maybe for our stream next week, we'll be building a PC. You never know. It could happen. That could be actually kind of fun. Just watch me get really confused and worry that I broke something irrevocably. But nonetheless, we're going to talk about some different things today. This, at the same time, it's been a quick and high-paced news week in terms of gaming, but it's also been a sort of laid back and slow news week at the same time. Some big announcements were made, but at the same time, it's nothing that we didn't expect. So what am I referring to? Well, to quickly say this, let me just flip over here if I can find the button. For instance, Assassin's Creed, they confirmed that they're going to be going to a new era, and they also announced on a separate post that they'll be at E3. So clearly, a new era. They've got this sort of Sanskrit, whatever it is, font, kind of Egyptian looking. It's clearly saying they're going back in time to a new era, sometime they haven't gone to before, and they're going to be at E3. So they're announcing a new Assassin's Creed at E3. That just makes sense. They also came out and unveiled Far Cry 5, which was bound to happen. Again, this is kind of what I'm referring to when I say, I'm going to scoot over and explain a little more. This is what I'm referring to when I say that there were a lot of big announcements, but it's nothing that we didn't see. So it's just what happens. It's what happens. I don't really have much to say about this Far Cry 5. I don't know what they're going to go about and doing. I don't know where they're going. I don't know what the setting is. I don't know what they're going to try to do that they haven't done before. Some people are saying that we might get Vox, like a prequel to Far Cry 3, which Far Cry 3, in my opinion, is the best one. It's like so much better than all the others that I've played. And I have not played Primal. If you've played Primal and think that it's great, then let me know. But yeah, no, I'm just not a big fan of that. Anyway, that stuff happened. I'm not surprised about the Assassin's Creed thing. People were sending this to me in droves. Like, holy crap, they announced it finally. We're so excited. Like, I already knew this. I knew that the game was going to be shown at E3. It's going to come out before the end of the fiscal year, which Ubisoft's fiscal year yet ends in like late March. So it could be released anytime from E3 to March. But it makes sense to release it around the holidays. I don't think that takes a lot of it's not rocket surgery, as they say, to determine that. That's just kind of common sense that they would release it around the holidays. So this is news to me. Far Cry 5, we are bound to get one. So that only makes sense. Other announcements that we're going to have, I think, are pretty intuitive. And so I don't know what to even say about those other than I told you so. We kind of saw this coming from a mile away. So that stuff happened. I'll get it out there. It happened. Now, as for other things that went on this week, there was also an announcement that the Witcher 3, the Witcher series in general, is going to get a Netflix show, which some people were asking me. I actually had my brother-in-law, I guess he would be. He's the husband of my sister, brother-in-law, I think. And he texted me when he found out and was like, so, this is getting a TV show. Anything about that? I told him, no, it's probably going to suck. And I thought this would be interesting. People are always kind of wondering why movies or video games or attempts at movies or anything like that, whether it's the Assassin's Creed film, which I reviewed and said it was garbage, I didn't like it. I just didn't think it was good. It was just rubbish. I think it's because video games inherently are interactive experiences, and a lot of these games, like The Witcher, for instance, are branching. So when you're just sitting there and you have no interaction with the content, it's just not the same. It might work to introduce people to the franchise, which maybe is their goal, but if you're a player and you're going to see the movie on it, what do you gain from that? You're sitting in a chair not interacting with the content that you're a fan of, so why not just go home and play the video game? It doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe it makes sense to somebody else, to the executive that's like introducing new people to the games that are just typical movie consumers, but um, I don't know. I don't get it. Lord knows, though, that The Witcher has a great basis to work off of from the book. So they could potentially make a really good movie or TV series or miniseries off of the book, and you could have some really stellar writing and really interesting stuff. But coming from the video game, it could potentially be a little disappointing, just because we're used to having like a 200-hour experience where we are making the choices that the characters are making on screen. So I don't know how it will work out. We'll just have to wait and see. It's going to be a ways out, but I'm open to it. I just doubt that it will be good. So that also happened. But yeah, no. If they screw up The Witcher, a lot of people will be upset. But it's just we'll just have to see. But we have a good number of people in chat. I'm happy to see you guys here. We are rocking hard, so hard, and we're having a great time. No, you guys better not make a move like that. So hard. But yeah, no, basically what's going on this week is typical stuff that we kind of saw coming, and nothing really out of the ordinary. Last week we talked about Prey and those reviews, and this week they announced Assassin's Creed is going to be there, and which is a movie or a TV show, and that's kind of all we're dealing with. So, based on that, we're going to talk about some other topics. Now, one thing I want to discuss, which I think is actually kind of interesting, and I have by no means done extensive research on this topic, music in video games. Now, music in video games, many people know, has a very, very important role, but a lot of people don't give it the credit that I think it deserves. They say, yeah, no, the soundtrack for a game is important, but it's like, okay, your song kind of was grabbed or something, whatever. But the reason I chose to say this footage of Bloodborne while we discussed this was because Bloodborne and Dark Souls is actually a great example of when music is employed very tactically and intentionally. And I saw a video done. Lord forgive me, I forgot who did it. Okay, if you know, when I decide this video and you know who made this video, let me know. Tell the chat. I'll echo it. I can't remember for the life of me who made this video that I'm referencing. But it was a video on the music and the rhythm of these things and the rhythm of fights in the sort of Dark Souls, the Soulsborne series. And what was really interesting about it is that they went through and they timed out the attack patterns of certain bosses. So you went through, I think they were looking at Dark Souls 2 specifically. But they looked at like Soul Kingdom, and they went through it, and they went through it, and they saw, okay, you attack here, you attack here, you attack here, you attack here. And that can actually fit in line with the downbeat of the music that's playing in the background. And sometimes it's a little wiggly, sometimes it doesn't match up quite exactly, but it in general follows the rhythm and the pace of the music. So your brain, and this has been shown in many studies, your brain actually tends to follow the rhythm of the music that you are listening to. It's why certain music can get you really anxious, other music can be calming. They've done this test on mice, where they had mice, and one mouse or one group of mice, they played classical music, and the mice kind of relaxed, and their heart rates were lower. And then another group, they played screamo from some death metal band, and the mice killed each other. So, like, music has a strong impact on cognitive function. Slugcat Jack says Austin from Game Theory made the video. That sounds right. Austin from Game Theory. Look it up. Austin from Game Theory. It was a really, really interesting video. But, so they analyzed this and they went through, and one of the things that struck me in Dark Souls 3, and this will hit that right here. A lot of people were saying that the hardest boss that they encountered was Dance of the Boreal Valley. And if you're not familiar with this boss, it's the one that dances and spins around and is very fluid. And a lot of people had a lot of trouble with that boss, and it's, a lot of people regard that as one of the toughest ones in the game. I always thought it was weird that I had such an easy time, and still to this day have an easy time beating that boss. And I'll get to why I think that is in a minute. But one of the reasons that this video went through as to why this was so difficult for so many people is because all the other bosses in the game followed a 4-4 pattern. There's just, 4 beats for the measure, and it followed, and it was consistent throughout the entire soundtrack, and the boss followed this great rule of rhythm and scale, so your brain got into it. As you played through the entire game, you got into this sort of, I guess you could say groove. I don't know if that's a pun or whatever. But you got into this groove and this rhythm of playing the game, and the bosses all followed the same rules. But Dance of the Boreal Valley followed this different rhythm. They actually, her music is actually based on like 4/3, I think it is. So it's actually based on triplets and thirds, which is far, far different from what a 4/4 is going to be like, especially in terms of rhythm. So it ends up, once you go and you look at the move set, that if you split it into 4 little chunks, like here, most attacks, with my fingers there, most attacks are boom, 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 boom on the downbeat. Dance of the Boreal Valley, all of a sudden it goes to 3. And so you're effectively going in these really weird spaces that your brain, the entire game, has been trained to not think of. Your brain, as you play through the game, has been telling you, no, those portions right in here, these are, and of course this is incredibly simplified, but these sections are safe. So you don't have to worry too much about it because those aren't when the attacks happen. And so as you go through, it kind of just adjusts you to this. And Dance of the Boreal Valley actually shapes that trend, and that's why a lot of people have a lot of difficulty with it. And it's one of the reasons that, like, Osiris, or whatever his name is, the blue sort of spongy squid-looking boss that's incredibly glitchy, which also adds to its difficulty. But that also, it follows the same trend where the glitchiness and the fact that his attacks are so chaotic makes him incredibly difficult because he doesn't follow the same path and the same rhythm. And if you've ever played a Soulsborne game or a Demon Soulsborne game, I would say that you could definitely, like, most people have to play these games with the music up, and the audio blasting and the music playing, because if you don't, then you have a lot of trouble, as I fall off this, I just saw that on screen. You actually can have a lot of trouble with it, and I think that it's a really interesting thing that I hadn't really considered in terms of how these soundtracks tend to work. Now, I think that a lot of elements go into something like the difficulty in a boss battle, and I'm trying to pull this up while I'm talking. I apologize profusely for the difficulty that I'm having. But I think that it was really interesting. I think it's something to look into. As for if I switch to this, one of the things that people were asking me about was what soundtracks do I like the most? And that's kind of what made me think of that whole rhythm in video games. And one of the reasons, before I forget, why I think I don't struggle with Dance of the Boreal Valley is because I actually in high school did a musical where one of the big numbers that was like 8 minutes long was actually in that same 4/3 based on thirds, and it's just super, super good. And so I got very used to it, and I trained my brain to think of this giant song in that way, rehearsed at a ton. So I was much more familiar with that rhythm. So I think personally, and I could be pulling it right out of my butt, I think that it's much more, it's easier for me to transition to it from that 4/4 to the 4/3, just because I've done it before and rehearsed it. So, and when you're conscientious of it and you're aware of it, then it's of course easier. But I thought it was interesting, so I thought I'd throw it out there. Now, some people have been asking me about Persona 5, and this is interesting because Persona 5 came out a while back, especially in Japan. It came out in October But Persona 5 is a game, obviously, that I did not think I would enjoy. Even still, I'm a little bit stiff, stuck as to what I'm gonna appraise it with. Let me just put it this way: the intro and the prologue to Persona 5 is like 10 freaking hours. It takes 10 hours to learn most, not even all, of the elements that you're going to be using throughout the rest of the game. And it's insane that it takes that long. I thought Assassin's Creed 3 had a slow start with its like 3 hour slow, chuggish intro. At least Persona 5 is narrative heavy, so the story's interesting and the characters are engaging, so that you want to continue playing. The Assassin's Creed 3 made a lot of people quit, but the problem is with Persona 5 that I consistently run into is that the game is not afraid, and some people wouldn't have a problem with this. I personally do, so I'll say. Um, I personally think that the game wastes your time a lot. And I think it's reflected in the load screens. I think it's reflected in their approach to level design. I think it's reflected in many elements of the game. It's not afraid to waste your time. I think if the game were optimized, I think if it were running on basically on a level that you would expect a PS4 game to run at, then you would see it running, and the average game time would shrink from 120 hours to like 70. I think it's probably sitting in front of 50 hours. See, the load screen even says take your time because it's trying to make you slow down and engage with the characters and not, rush anything, which I understand. But the game wastes your time so often where there's all these load screens. There's no reason. This is on a next gen hardware. There's no reason that you shouldn't be able to transition from this upstairs level to the downstairs level without a loading screen. There's no reason why that should happen. Each level is tiny, but it takes a little loading screen. Some people just say, oh, it's because it's like sort of artsy fartsy and it's the art style and it wants to look like a comic book or something. I don't care. I don't care. This is one thing I have, a problem I have with art styles as an excuse for laziness. Breath of the Wild has an art style, and the reason that art style is so important is because it allows the game to run, basically. The texture quality can be dropped and changed to be very, very simplistic and kind of cartoony because that's how they can get it to run on a handheld portable device. Whereas on like the PS4, you should be capable of running something like Horizon Zero Dawn with incredibly high quality textures and massive levels, and you don't need that art style. And so the art style in Command always kind of frustrated me because it, in many ways, is an excuse. But it's kind of just it's frustrating. If the game, as Jessica 5700 says in the chat, if Persona 5 were on the Switch, it would probably be a contender for my game of the year. I mean, I could forgive a lot of these technical issues. And Paul Robinson in the chat also points out that it was originally for the PS3, which is true. The game was launched on PS3 and PS4 in October in Japan, and then brought over um, now. But even then, I would say, even if the game was intended for PS3, look at The Last of Us. The Last of Us was intended for PS3 and was an exclusive on that title or on that console. And then they ported it to the PS4. Load times were greatly reduced, and the performance of the game shot way up. It's only 60 FPS. It's great. This game, if you were playing it on, like, I couldn't see what console you were playing it on. If I didn't know better, I would think that you were playing a PS3 game, which I guess you technically are. But the problem is that I'm playing it on a PS4 on modern hardware, and they charge me modern hardware money for the game, so it's a little frustrating. If I could take it on the go, yeah, no, it would be wonderful. And I see no reason, based on what I'm seeing in the game in terms of technical qualifications or requirements, I see no reason why this would be sort of demanding for any console at all. The Switch should technically be able, the characters have this art style that takes texture qualities way down. There's not much voice acting in the game. When it is there, it's pretty good. But I don't know. It's just something that's a little baffling to me why it's on the PS4 and runs the way that it does. They also do this really weird thing with NPCs where when you move in and out and closer and further away, they turn into these like silhouettes, like cardboard cutouts, and it's a little frustrating. It just doesn't look like a PS4 game. And I don't need to discourage you if you're interested in getting the game, go for it. Um, I think they'll enjoy it. Some people will really enjoy it and won't mind the sort of slog that you have to go through to complete the game. Because it is, at times, it does feel a bit like a slog. It's a good 80 to 120 hour game just to complete the main quest. That's how big the game is, but my problem is that a lot of that time could be taken away, which is a little frustrating. So if you're interested in these sort of heavy narrative type games, go for it. I think you'll enjoy it. But this is not for the average consumer who's looking for just a quick, fun game that you can come home from work and just go at. This is a game that you need to commit to and spend some real time working on. And that's a little frustrating for me. I don't have a ton of time to play games, as baffling as that may be. As a YouTuber, something that not a lot of people actually realize is that YouTubers don't tend to have, even gaming YouTubers don't tend to have a lot of time to play games. Yesterday, the video I just put out, I went out last night probably around 1 a.m. is I think when it finished like processing and it got published. It was on side quests in RPGs, the good and the bad. And I compared quests from Fallout 4 and The Witcher 3, kind of saying what worked or what didn't. And that video I started working right as I got home from work. I started at 2 p.m. and I finished editing it and rendering it at midnight. So I spent 10 hours making that video. Most people, if they had gaming as a hobby, they would go home and they would start playing Persona 5 or Fallout 4 or The Witcher 3 during that time, and they could just play, they could just enjoy it. But to create this content, editing the video takes a good 8-9 hours, and then you work on the thumbnail, then you have to publish it and hope that people watch it. And sometimes even then they won't watch the video because the title wasn't what they were looking at, or the topic just wasn't interesting, and all that work is kind of down the drain. So YouTubers don't tend to have this sort of game life where you're just playing video games all day. My viewers play a lot more games than I do. And people are often shocked when I say, no, I haven't played that. I haven't touched that. No. Well, I'm a full-time student, and then I also work, and I run this YouTube channel, of course. There's not a lot of time to go around, but I do my best. But yeah, no, Glidus in the chat says, well, Persona is a really niche game for a niche audience. I agree. I'm not sure, frankly, if I am the niche that this is for. And as a result of that, I think one thing I might do is once I finish it, or once I feel like I've gotten everything I can get out of it, if I haven't completed it by E3, I probably won't get the time to complete it by the end of the year. I'm just being honest, because a lot of games that my audience is more interested in will be coming out, and I probably just won't have the time to finish it. So what I'll probably do is do a giveaway. I'll sign it, draw a name out of a hat, and ship it to one of you guys. I think that would be really fun to do, especially if we did it live and we took it right out. It could be really cool. But yeah, no, in general, it's a cool game. I can see why some people love it. I have a friend who has played through this game twice already. I don't know how that's humanly possible, but they've already played through the game twice, and they seem to really, really love it. And I think I could have the potential to love it more if it were portable and I could take it with me places, but because I can't, I have to sit here and it's just, I don't think it's for me. I think that's the main thing. But with that said, briefly, let's talk about hardware, because somebody was asking about hardware. Um, it's really interesting to see. Let me see if I actually pulled this up while I'm blabbering. Hardware is a really interesting thing, but not a lot of console people are that concerned with, understandably so. It is, after all, something that is more of a PC thing. If you're playing on console, you're not going to be too concerned with different hardware specifications. But I wanted to show you guys kind of what I'm looking at in terms of our build. This actually is not the most updated build, but nonetheless, I'll show you. I don't know where my fully updated one went, but this is from a website called PC Part Picker. It's kind of cool because it checks compatibility and it has all the references. You can look at what works and what doesn't, and you can address all of that and pick out all of the individual components. This is not the most recent build. So the more I look at it, this doesn't look right at all. So we can fix it. We can fix it live. Let's just build. So basically what we're looking at is for this new PC that we're going to be building. With another technical person, I'm sorry, I'll try to go through this quicker rather than slower. But what we're looking at in terms of CPU, we're going to go probably with an i7. Some people are asking whether or not I will go with a Ryzen chip. Probably not. And the reason I'm not is because Adobe suites tend to work better with Intel products. That's just a reality that's unfortunate. Maybe it'll fix itself or it'll be addressed in a year or two with some updates and patches. But as of right now, Intel chips just work more reliably. And for video editing, it'll have to have Adobe working at its utmost level. So we're going to do that. i7 6700K. The 7700K, yeah, you can overclock it, but I've heard that it's way hotter than the 6700K. That's kind of just overpriced for what you're actually getting. Now, inside out and everyone in the chat, I do see your questions, and I will address them in just a moment. So hold on to them, copy them, and when I ask for them, please select back and then I'll get them. So don't worry about that. As for this cooler, this is why I said this doesn't look right, because I actually will just add this guy. We're actually going to be doing a water cooled, and we're going to probably go just a kind of off the shelf water cooler. We're not going to do anything crazy with it, but we are going to overclock it slightly. So having a water cooler is going to be nice. I'm not sure if this is